Hey everybody, this is Toby Eunice on the right channel now. Stick with me a couple of seconds and we'll have a nice Friday night chat. And Shelley, you may get a notice that the softer side just started a live stream. I ended it as quickly as possible. So I can't tell if Shell's in the chat room yet. Let me check real quick. No, not yet. So as you know, Shelley and I do a couple of channels. We do a Gypsy Kiss, and then she has her own channel, the softer side. But we use the same pretty much setup to stream to both of them. The difference is that when we stream to a Gypsy Kiss, we have one RTMP number, and then when we stream to the softer side, we have another, and they have to be plugged into the open broadcasting software. And the last thing we did last night was do her show, and that was still plugged in. So when I started at 7 o'clock this evening, it went to the softer side. So there's going to be a little bit of Toby over there that Shelley's going to have to delete. Toby on a Gypsy's Kiss. So I have kind of a plan for tonight, and that is what I want to do is give you guys the opportunity to chat or send a text if you want to the 1-800 number. As I mentioned yesterday, you can actually send a text to the 1-800 number. I get it here, and what I'll do is I'll respond on the air. But if you want to, you can also call. I'm going to have to move my power supply over here in just a second. So you can also call the 1-800 number, and we'll relay that into, we'll patch that in, as they say in radio talk. We'll patch that into the chat room, so you can enjoy that. Camera's a little high. So when Shelley's here to help me, this goes a lot smoother. Shelley, I noticed you just came into the chat room, and I wanted to let you know that when I launched this show this evening, I had forgotten to change the RTMP number, and so the first minute or so of the show is over on the softer side. I corrected it as soon as I could, but you should be aware that you have a file that you're going to have to delete. Okay? So let me start with something that happened to me today. And that was Pam and Bob Shopman on their way back through to California. They were coming through Albuquerque, and they called last night and asked if we could meet for breakfast. So I had breakfast with them this morning at the Range Cafe at the intersection of I-40 and Rio Grande. And gosh, we went for probably 2 hours, I guess, as we just talked about all kinds of things from, our YouTube channels to last week, the Jamie Jordan raffle drawing, to the search areas that we're looking at. They are very, very nice people. And Pam's just a doll, and I love her channel, and I want to do everything I can to promote it. So if you're not already a subscriber to Ramblin' Pam, I'm going to strongly recommend that you become a subscriber on her channel, because she produces, what I like about YouTube is the opportunity to produce original content. And I really respect the YouTubers that do produce that original content. She puts a lot of effort into her videos, and as a documentarian, as a filmmaker, I can tell you I understand how much effort, time and effort and money goes into that. So I hope you do tune into her channel. So let's start let me go back to full screen here. And that's the number you call or text, 800-947-1043. And I will keep an eye on the chat room as I can. It's always easier when, of course, Shelley is doing that. But let me take a second to say some hellos. There's Alan K., who started harassing me early tonight. Hey, Alan, Toby Fan 3000. Oh, I have no idea who that is. Hi there, group. K-Pro, Chris Thor, yes, we are back. Dale Richards. Toby has a fan. Apparently, I do have at least one fan. That's actually good news for me. Makes me feel just a little bit better about myself. David Kramer is in the room from the flip side. Shelley Carney Productions. Hello, K-Pro. AJ Rainbill, no softer side of Toby. Well, there is, but only on Thursday nights. I try to be a Gypsy's Kiss on the other days. Dak is in the room. Got here because he's got that new compass to get his directions. Flipside's in the room. David Kramer, we've already talked to. Let's see. RF Hecky, Susan Heckenliable. Copper, Courtney Roberts is in the room. Happy Friday. Glad to see you guys here. Adam Foddy. Adam, I saw that you commented on Jono's video. That was very nice of you to say that. I don't know what part of the country you're in relation to him, but apparently he's 15 minutes or 15 miles away from Paul, so maybe they'll get together and go to I was going to say Man U football game, but if I remember correctly, Jono said he was a Liverpool fan. I think he said that. That's probably, and I know it's not to get that right would be a very offensive for a UK football fan. Copper says she's my fan, and I'm a fan of yours too, Copper. Hi from Seattle, Gary Sandberg. And Copper. Okay, well, I'm going to let Shelley keep track of the room. And again, if you have any questions or comments and you want to make contact, please feel free to use the 1-800 number to call, and we'll patch you through to the chat room and answer your questions if you'd like. So the phone line is ready and connected. So what I wanted to do to keep us busy until we started getting something is, first of all, I want to read a text that I got from Alicia in Texas. And it's kind of a long text, but it's worth reading. So just give me a second. She sent this, and her name is spelled Alysia. And at first it looked to me like, Alicia or something like that. And I realized it's probably just a phonetic spelling of Alicia. So I'm going to call her that. And Alicia, if I'm wrong, just let me know. So I don't know if you remember yesterday when Heather Dawn was on, she did send me a text message, and she asked me if I thought Fenn had a short fuse. And I used a couple of examples. I don't think necessarily he has a short fuse, although if you had listened to the examples, it kind of sounded like I may have thought he did. I've not experienced his short fuse. I think he has a relatively even temper with what all men experience is the occasional, like, oh, I need to get this done, and you either need to help me or get out of, what's that old saying, lead or get out of the way, something like lead, follow, or get out of the way. That's the sense I get of him. And you can't spend as much time in the military and not acquire some of that personality, because the military is very much, like that, lead, follow, or get out of the way. So let me read this. So Alicia wanted to comment on my comment after Heather's question about whether or not Fenn had a short fuse. And I thought it was a nice comment. I told her I was going to read it on the air. So her name is from Alicia. She's from Texas. I watched your show yesterday, and I just wanted to add to Heather Dawn's question about whether Forrest had a short fuse or not. In regards to him being irritated by not putting the cap back on the pen and putting paper clips on folders, I would think instead of him having a short fuse, he is rather particular about how things are done, kind of a bit OCD in a way. Those things aren't that upsetting, but maybe he is a little more obsessed about the particulars, as some of us are all a little obsessed with the chase. He also, in a scrapbook, mentioned how his girls would do all sorts of irritating things when they were young, just wondering if you thought there might be a correlation there. I know I'm sending this after the show, so if it gets brought up again, great. If not, no worries. I enjoyed your show yesterday. You all should drink wine more often. Apparently, she hasn't seen our other book club shows, because we drink wine at every book club show. I think yesterday that sweet wine, I probably had a little bit more than I should have for an afternoon. But I think she's making a valid point. Perhaps it's not a description of actually a short fuse, but more of a description of somebody who is a bit OCD. I'm like that. I'm very particular. I don't know necessarily. I'm not the kind of person that will say something. I'll simply make the correction, and then give you another chance. I don't know how else to describe it, but I can be a bit OCD. I don't feel like I have a short fuse. I think it takes a lot to make me mad, and I have a sense Fenn's the same way. He may be a bit OCD, but probably doesn't have necessarily a short fuse. And again, if you have 20 years flying fighter aircraft, you have to be, what in the vernacular is called level-headed, because you can't be hot-blooded, short-fused, and survive those situations. You have to maintain a real sense of decorum, if you will, in the midst of whether you're a dogfight or being shot at by rockets. So I expect that Alicia's got a good handle on this part of Fenn, and I think I would tend to agree with her. So, okay. So what I wanted to do while we were waiting for calls, if we're going to get any calls at all tonight, you don't have to be afraid. I don't have a short fuse. I'm just going to ask you if you have any questions, so please feel free to call. I mean, I'm paying $20 a month for this service. We might as well use it, right? What I was going to do while we're doing that is I'm going to give you a rundown on A Gypsy's Kiss, the blog, because I've added some things to it, and it's getting to be a very nice blog. So let me go over there. I'm going to go off screen. You guys will be able to see it. You'll be able to see me, but I won't be able to see you for just a little bit here. So this would be a good time if you're in the room, to make fun of me, because I can't see it. All right. So this is A Gypsy's Kiss, the blog. It's at agypsyskiss.com. If you haven't visited there, at least go visit. We think it's a pretty good blog. I started this blog back in 2013 with commentary, and it's since grown into a lot of other things. It basically supports our directions and our objectives on the YouTube channel, but it has some things that you might be interested in. So I'm going to come back to the home page and explain what's there, but I want to give you an idea of what's on the other pages. This is the navigation menu across the top, and the first item in the navigation menu is a reference to Fenn's poem. It actually has the page that I pulled out. It has my notes from my first miserably failed recon on the Rio Chama. Those were my notes I wrote in the book to begin with. I know that might be, what do you call it, a sin to some people, but I wrote in the book. And then it has some opinions. So I'm getting a call from my own... Hold on, I'm getting a call from my own 800 number. So this is Toby Eunice on the Gypsy's Kiss. You're on the hotline. How can I help you?
Hey, Toby, it's Brian, man in the barn. How are you doing?
Hey, Brian. How are you doing?
Doing well. I figured I would try to be the first one to call in.
Well, you are indeed. You may as well. How did you manage to use my phone line?
Well, your 800 number.
Yeah.
So I guess the only really question I have is, if somebody is hidden from your chat room, is there anything they can do to redeem themselves and come out of the penalty box?
Interesting question, and you're the first person who has asked. And the answer is, if you write me a short note that says, I don't think you even have to apologize, says, made a mistake and I won't do it again. I've never received those. I've never received one of those, and I'd be pleased to receive one and reinstate you.
Well, all right. Well, hopefully I busted the dam here, and you'll get some more calls from some people. And thank you.
My pleasure. That was a smart move. Thank you for doing that for me. Okay, so I do have a new text message from R.F. Hecky, Susan Heckenliable. I'm going to have to figure out how to go back. Hang on just a sec. Let me go back to where we were. All right, so we'll go back there in just a second. Let me take care of business here. So that was Brian, man in the barn. And that is true for anyone. All right, well, here we go again. Good evening, this is Toby Eunice on the Gypsy's Kiss. What's your question?
Hi, Toby. It's Christy.
Hi.
Hey, Pro.
Hey, Christy. How are you doing? Do me a favor and turn your...
I'm great.
Turn your audio off in the background.
Okay, yeah, I'm walking out of the room of our little Hunkerville of North Carolina hurricane.
All right, well, that was...
I'm in a quiet room now.
Since you're there, and I'm glad you're calling, why don't you tell us how the situation is there in North Carolina?
Well, I'm in Raleigh, and I know that Bill is relatively close, so we have been texting back and forth. His family evacuated, but he stayed. He is a little bit, he's probably 10, 15 miles, but it's so different in just a few miles. We're high ground, so lots and lots of rain and lots of wind. So there's a few trees that are kind of saying hello. I'm just hoping they don't say hello to my roof. rather than they say hello to the grass. But right now we're just waiting for it. All the ground is really, really drenched, but it's the next 12 hours is going to be important. But for us, it went south. We're in Raleigh, so we're fine. We're fine at this point. We're safe enough. We just have to stay inside, and so we're a little bored for the next probably 24 or 48 hours.
So I'm going to assume that the Bill you're referring to is Bill Kaiser, who is also from, who's a searcher, also from North Carolina. One of my first It's All About You interview, but if I remember correctly, you mentioned at the Jamie Jordan raffle drawing that you two had met up. Is that correct? Is that the Bill you're talking about?
Actually, not us two, but Bill and Holly is his wife, and they have kiddos that are also in the hunt. And I will say she's not quite as avid as Bill and I. I think we were supposed to meet for one drink a half an hour, and 4 hours later we were still chatting, and her eyes rolled a little bit. She's not quite as avid. Him and I were definitely into talking, and I brought my book and all of that. But yes, Holly is a part. So Holly and the kids have evacuated, but Bill is still hunkered down. I don't know where he's at, but I've told him if he's in lower ground and needs to come and find a spot, I have a guest room. He can definitely come and stay with us. But no, he's wonderful. And that's actually my question is regarding that. It's all about you.
Okay. Go ahead and ask.
So out of all the it's about you. I think there's been really incredible differences between the searchers. If you could give one or two really rememberable things that you would say, wow, that was really interesting. I mean, John Bobbitt versus Bill versus Sean versus, I mean, there's so many. Is there a couple that you would say, wow, this little tangent has really brought some value because of, and whatever that is.
I think what has surprised me. So let's talk about we've done 11 of them now, and then I had done 4 before back in the 2013-2014 time period. First of all, the visual component is always a lot of fun. Because now you can see the person in addition to seeing their chat in the room. But I think the ones that were the most interesting for me. So there are two things. Number one, my interviewing technique has evolved. So I feel I've always been a pretty good interviewer, but I was kind of sticking to the script associated with the Q&A, the questionnaire that I had. And I felt, as I was evolving through this process, I felt that was constraining. I felt like that there was more that they wanted to say, and so I opened up the conversations. And you can see that in some of the later ones. There's a part of me that wants to go back and do the earlier ones over. The ones that have been the most revealing were the ones where I had people literally sitting next to me, which is always true of an interview. When you're in the room with the person, the interview is always, twice as good. So the interview with Massimo Santini from Italy and the interview with John Wayne Bobbitt from Las Vegas were two really interesting and fun interviews. But the interview that I just recently did with Jonah Jones from the UK, as he described the 5 weeks that he and his family spent in the U.S., getting that kind of insight to someone who's made what I would think of it, not that any time we travel to search for the treasure, we are all not making an investment in time, effort, and money. They made a significant one, and that has to mean a lot to them. And in addition to that, he not that he took our advice, but he applied our theory that if you turn your search into something that is a small part of a bigger vacation, it's easier to tolerate the fact that you didn't find the treasure. And he didn't have any regrets. He didn't find the treasure, but he and his little family, had such a good time and saw so much of the U.S. that they had only heard about until this point or seen imagery of, that I didn't hear any regrets. I didn't hear it was terrible and we'll never go back. He has plans to come back. And I imagine his plans to come back include bringing his family and making a vacation out of it. So that was a recognition. In their own way, for me, they're all memorable. I love I don't know whether you're aware, but I've done literally thousands, if thousands of interviews. And so I love the interview process, and I love just listening to people and hearing their stories and figuring out where the hero, I'm always looking for the hero. And everyone I've talked to has been a hero in their own right. And to me, that's that's the best part of finding the hero in every story that everyone tells me. So they've all been special, but I'd say in terms of ranking, I'd say, Massimo and John Wayne, because we were face to face. And then some of the more recent one, not as much from the searcher, not as much from the searcher, but because the process that I've chosen to undertake to get away from the script has evolved, and I think it makes it better for me, and it makes it better for them, and I feel like it makes it for a better interview. So we're going to continue doing them that way. We're going to give everybody an opportunity to spend as much time. If you look at them, the first couple of interviews that we did were short because they were limited to that script. And now we're running 20, 25, 30 minutes as we just allow them to freely talk. And people can say, I can't do anything for 30 minutes on YouTube. They don't have to. We're not asking them to. For us, this is a process of that any documentarian would go through. It's creating an archive of materials that people can go back to and continue to review. So we feel like by allowing them to get away from the script and allowing them to tell their stories, that it's not only better for me in terms of the channel, it's better for them, and we think it's better for the people that want to review those videos at sometime in the future. I mean, if I was new to this chase, the first thing that I would do is I would spend the winter looking at those interview videos to see what other people had done, So.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm enjoying as much as I enjoyed the Jamie event, where I think I met 100 searchers. I tried to document, but it was about 100 searchers. And they're so different. There's someone that's living in his car that is saying that I'm here in Santa Fe, to someone that was coming from overseas that flew in. And I think that It's All About You is exactly showing that we are all so diverse, and
right.
Our backgrounds are so different, and our thought processes are so different. And so, Sean Martinez coming from the investigative background, and it's like bringing all those different perspectives in. I find it intriguing that we're all taking this from a different angle, because that's our history, that's our perspective, that's our lens. So I think that It's All About You, and then these events have really showed me, wow, there's so many people. It's like, just tell me your story. Exactly what you did is what I just sat with people and talked their story. And it's amazing how different it is, and how different than the solve made as a result. So it was fantastic.
Well, we think the event in and of itself was a landmark, for lack of a better way to describe it, event, and will long be held in the archives of the search history as a landmark event, because it produced so much, including not only helping a family, but bringing the community together in a very concentrated way to resolve a problem. And after Jason and I were driving home, my son Jason and I were driving back to Albuquerque, because we had to get back to help to get the softer side that evening. And Jason said something really, really interesting. He said, if one could apply the same amount of concentrated energy that was applied to resolving this problem, and apply all of that to resolving the hunt for the treasure, it would be an interesting effort. So I thought it was a really interesting thought. We're actually going to do a show on it later in the month. So tune in for that, because I just thought it was a really amazing idea. Really, really, insightful idea on the part of my son, although I guess I'm partial. So.
Yeah. Well, I loved meeting him, and have a great night tonight, but I wanted to weigh in.
All right. Thank you. You have a good evening.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hey, good luck with the weather.
Yes. Thank you.
Good night. Okay, guys, I do want you to know we are not at the level of sophistication yet where we have the ability to handle multiple incoming calls. So if you call in while I'm talking to someone, I can't answer it without breaking off the call with them. So I'm going to ask that as soon as you see me finish a call, please feel free to call in at that point. We actually did miss a call. Please feel free to call in at the point that I finished the last call. So now the lines are open, and you can call in. And so Brit Chaser says, "Hey, all 2:25 a.m. holding on. So say hi to Jonah Jones and tell him how much in the room. He's Brit Chaser. So tell him whether or not you liked his interview. I thought he did a great job. And we also posted the link to the video that he produced as a result of his travels with his family. So make sure you go over to the YouTube channel Brit Chaser, and he's got that. That's his first video up there. It's very well done. So. And the other thing that he came up is with the crossword puzzle idea. I have to give him credit for that. I think it's ingenious in terms of analyzing the clues, If it was a crossword puzzle and in the crossword puzzle hint clues, whatever they're called, because I don't do crossword puzzles. You saw Warm Waters Halt. What would you write, in 7 across, however long, 7 across. I thought it was very ingenious. Okay, so let me see. Whoever was just trying to call, please call in. I've got a text message. Let me handle that first. And so this is a text message from Susan. Oh, okay. This is the one I wanted to get. I am not going to get through this text message, so I've got another call coming in. This is Toby Eunice on a Gypsy's Kiss. You've reached the hotline. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Ben Coe from North Carolina.
Ben, how are you doing tonight? How is so you're another one of our callers from the North Carolina area. How's the weather?
Well, I had just listened to the lady from Raleigh, and we're northwest from Raleigh up above Charlotte. And our weather in the last 5 to 6 hours has the wind has picked up quite a bit, anywhere average about 25 miles per hour, gusting to 40. So we're just now getting hitting the brunt of it right now.
Yeah, I heard mentioned on several of the cable news channels that it's a very deceptive storm, that it looks like it's not doing much, but the worst is yet to come in terms of winds and the amount of rain it's going to leave in the area.
Yeah, we actually have horses, and we've hunkered down, and we've got all of them ready, and we're just kind of waiting it out, and hoping it doesn't really hit as bad as they think it's going to hit.
So you live in a rural area rather than an urban area?
Well, we're just outside. We have a small farm, but it's just outside the city limits of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, actually.
And when you got word that the storm was headed in your direction, what did you and your family do to prepare for it?
Well, like I say, we had some trees around some of our pastured areas, and went to work with saws and tractors and trying to get those actually cut down and just laid down so they wouldn't fall on our pastures and possibly our horses getting out. And so just preparations that normal people, would do, other than just having to take care of animals.
Well, of course, this isn't the first storm that North Carolina has experienced over the past, as long as we've been tracking Ripper. There have been others. Have you been through any of the more memorable storms while you've been living in North Carolina?
Yeah, I actually was raised here in North Carolina, and the most memorable one that for me was probably Hugo that came through, and we're right at the foot of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and Hugo hit us pretty hard in this area, but that's probably been the worst.
So let's change lanes here and talk a minute about the search. So are you an active searcher? You and your family actively searching for the treasure?
I am. Actually, I'm new to the search. I started probably 3 months ago, so I'm way behind on it. But and as most do, I've got my idea where it possibly could be, and my search area is actually Colorado. And I didn't think that I was actually ever going to be able to go and look for it with boots on the ground, but we've have had my wife's mother for the last 6 years. She was an Alzheimer's patient, and she passed a couple of weeks ago. And so hopefully we'll be able to go. We actually have a daughter that lives in Colorado. She's a fixed wing and chopper flight nurse out in Colorado.
Wow,
So
what a great job to have in Colorado.
Yeah, really. But hopefully we're going to get to go and spend a few months out there with her and be able to get boots on the ground.
So where do you think that cagey old Fenn hid the treasure?
Well, I've actually got 3 areas there that, in my mind, I've only looked at it on maps and of course, listened to you guys and fellow searchers and that kind of thing. And so I'm not really positive, not really set completely on one of them, but actually just 3 areas there.
Well, if you ever, you didn't say which states you're going to come out to visit, but if you do find yourself out New Mexico way and you end up on either I-25 or I-40, you're within a short drive away from us in Albuquerque. So make sure if you come this direction, give us a holler and we'll have some breakfast, lunch, dinner, or coffee.
Well, we definitely will, because we actually listen to you guys every week, and we think you're just a blast. I mean, we really enjoy your program.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the compliment, and Shelley's in the chat room, and I'm sure she's heard that. But a lot of the fun that goes into this is a result of just her personality. So I love working with her, and it makes it real easy to invest my retirement time in doing the programming. So thank you for that. And we do look forward to you coming out to visit the area and giving us a call when you get here. Do you have any questions that I can answer for you, or I can try to answer for you before you leave?
Yes, I do have one.
Okay.
Forrest keeps saying that there's a key word that every searcher is overlooking. And for me, and I guess nobody else, because the treasure hasn't been found yet, but I cannot, read it over the poem and go over it, and I can't really find a word or a phrase there that really stands out that would be a real key other than all of them.
I think that's everybody's challenge, and that's why I believe I think there are 166 words in the poem. There are probably people who believe that every one of those 166 words are key. Shelley and I have our opinions on the matter, and as does Jason. So my son Jason thinks it's the word brown because it's capitalized. If I remember correctly, and Shelley's in the chat room so she can correct me, she believes it's the word bold, and I've always believed it was the word treasures. And I think, and I can tell you why I chose that word. I'm not going to presuppose that I can describe why Jason and Shelley have chosen their words. But I like treasures because of the 9 letters, and I'm a big fan of the 369 theory. And I haven't done this for a while, so if I get this wrong, feel free to correct me in the chat room. Of the 9 letters that are in the word treasures, as he describes them, there's only 5 that aren't repeated. I think there's only 5, and so there's some relationship there. I feel like he used that word for a very specific reason. But honestly, I'm like you, like everybody else. I have what I think is a key word, but I don't have anything other than my opinions and suppositions to substantiate why that would be any more a keyword than any other. But if I was going to tell someone to investigate a word in terms of the keyword, I would say investigate treasures. I think there's something in all of that.
Okay, that's great.
All right, sir.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much for answering.
Thanks for calling in, and you all stay safe out there as you get through this storm.
Will do.
You have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, line is open. Anybody want to call in or send a text? Before you call in, just hold on a second. Let me see if I can get through this Susan Heckenliable text that she sent. Hi, Toby. This is R.F. Hecky from Minnesota. Wanted to say I found the reference on Terry Scant to Forrest Fenn saying page 64 photo of Skippy is photoshopped ID 5638, quote from 2-22-17. And if I remember correctly, I'm going to try and remember, I think that's the photo of Skippy sitting in what seems to be what was presented as Skippy sitting in his car. And it's definitely photoshopped in. You can just see the resolution is completely different. The coloration is completely different. So she must have, Susan went back and found that reference. So, okay, I don't see any more. Hang on, let's see. Oh, we do have a text message from. Let me see, who is that? Aaron from. Doesn't say where he's from. He says, "Hi, Toby. I was wondering if you have looked into Blaze Mountain, located in western Montana. The elevation is 10,200 feet. High Lakes is also to the base of this mountain. Any thoughts on this?" Aaron, I'm going to be honest with you. We have avoided expanding our search area out of New Mexico because we feel like. Let me answer this call and put him on hold for just a sec. Caller, could you hold for just a second, please? So, Aaron, we okay. Just haven't expanded our search beyond Montana. I'm sorry, New Mexico, because mostly of the time, effort, and expense it requires to get out of New Mexico and go as far north as the search area. We did it. We did take one trip to the Lander, Wyoming area, and it was very time-consuming, very expensive, and required a lot of effort. So we just haven't investigated that. I'm sure that, say, like Cynthia, eventually, as we run out of places to search in New Mexico, we're going to have to consider alternatives, and certainly we may get to that point. And honestly, we'll probably use your reference as a starting point for that. Okay, caller, what's your name, where are you calling from, and what's your question?
This is Davio22 from California, out here in Grass Valley.
Davio22. So you got a question for us tonight to stump us? Because you always have great questions. What's your question?
Well, I got a question and comment. The idea of the keyword, I want to say that it is very real, and the way that you can find this is by creating your own glossary. I'm sharing a huge, big find that I have found. Forrest said you're going to have to do a lot of work to find anything in this poem. Well, I look at what's missing. There's no glossary. There is no table of contents. There is no front of the book. This book mimics the Dead Poets Society. If you look at that movie, he rips out the front of that book, and it just kind of starts. There is even a character in that movie that's called Meeks. There is a lot of amazing coincidences between those things. It's just kind of fun to watch. And it's poetry and, Shakespeare.
So let me go back and ask a question about your theory. You said that it's missing a glossary. You're not referring specifically to the poem. You're referring to the book, The Thrill of the Chase. Is that correct?
The book.
So are you suggesting that we should all invest our time in creating a table of contents, a glossary, an index on our own for the book?
Right. It's about noticing slight little weird differences between things. I mean, isn't it interesting that there's a photograph of two dogs and a drawing of a dog, but yet he never mentions a dog as a pet. There is no glossary. Why is that? I've never seen a book that has nothing in the front. So what I have found is by the absence of things, I get the greatest amount of success. From finding the key word, I was able to find a building that goes right along with where warm water halts. Where warm water halts is where cool water begins. Now, this is a concept that you can go and do research around. What is this cool water beginning stuff? What is this? Well, it's an actual song, right? And then who sang that song? And in what year? Well, that year happens to be the same year of the car. So these are things that you can look up and actually mash together. So you can verify that there is a keyword by making your own glossary. and that will help send you off. When you get stuck, you fall back onto that, and you actually get a lot of things lining up that make sense. Like Terry Scant. That's not a word. If you take butt Terry and put these together, you get buttery. And that'll take you right back to the drawing of the cow. The cow is really significant. That drawing of the cow with those cats, there's a cat on his left foot. You'll find text that will refer to that, because there is I don't want to call it a secret text, but you have to find the code to then reveal the veiled text. This line, like let's say line number 8, word number 8, and you'll find this on page 8, something like that. They all jive with the time codes. Why isn't there time codes on everything?
So let me interrupt.
The absence of a time code gives you a hint.
Let me interrupt for just a second. How far along are you in doing all this work related to the book? Glossary, index, table of contents, etc., etc.
I use the book as a workbook that is training you to find things you need in the poem. For instance, the top line, the very first line, the word which says alone, it says gone alone. Well, that's 1-1. Isn't it odd that you can measure from the word I am to the nose of the frog, and it comes out 11 inches?
All right, hold on. So let's go back. We started this conversation because you suggested the idea that the book is missing a glossary, a table of contents, and an index. And so what I assumed was that you think that having an index, a glossary, and a table of contents are important to figuring out the solution to this problem. So my question to you is, how far along are you on creating a glossary, table of contents, and index in this book, for this book?
Oh, I did that 3 years ago. That's how I was able to find the Blaze in Colorado, which then refers you to another location in Wyoming.
Interesting. So what would you,
cute little things like that,
in terms of helping searchers, because we're all trying to get to the point where we can help each other.
That's right.
So before we hang up here, I want you to tell me what you think a searcher could do in terms of the book and the poem, what they could do themselves to help them get closer to solving this problem, based on Davio's theory.
You definitely want to observe. What's the easiest one? I got the greatest gain by taking apart page 15. That really got me down the road, because he talks about the game of pool, and page 15. There's 15 balls in when you shoot pool. There's 15 balls. His photograph is on number 8. The white page would be the cue. So he's kind of giving you an idea all the way back down. It's taking the book apart will get you the greatest. 16 feet of grease board, I was able to dismantle the book and find little things that stick out.
All right. Well, that's it.
So I would say,
did you actually
glossary?
Did you actually take the book apart, separate the pages from one another?
Yes.
Oh. Well, I guess that's better than burning it.
I broke down chapters.
Yeah. No,
I broke down the chapters and then analyzed the photographs and what page photographs were on, why timestamps were on these chapters. Why is there only some things drawn in black? There's only 8 little drawings that all seem to kind of go together. There's I think Father on the Banco is probably is really critically important. It's just taking it apart gave me the greatest amount of actual information. If you get stuck, you can go back to this key word.
All right.
The last page in your own glossary will get you the greatest distance through this to find the key word. And once you find the key word, then you're off and running to a whole other thing. As a matter of fact, Toby, I'm going to make a video, and the only way you can see this video is by typing in the key word. And then in that video, right?
Yeah.
Right. So then we'll only have people who know the key word seeing the video, and then we'll discuss these other topics around drawings within said video.
All right. So let us know when you make that video, and we'll promote it and tell everybody that they're going to have to figure out the keyword before they get to the video. So as usual, Davio, very original thinking, and I think your recommendation to disassemble the book is a good one. I think it's going to take a little bit of courage on the part of everybody who's paid the $35 plus shipping to get to that point. But if you have a spare copy, like I do,
Xerox it. You can take it, put it on
Oh,
copier.
that's a
and
good
Xerox.
one. That's right.
Same
Just put it in a
thing. That's what
copier,
I've got.
Xerox
Yep.
it, and start disassembling it. All right.
There you go.
Good advice, sir. Thank you
That's
for
right.
your call.
Yeah, love to all. Love to all.
Yeah,
Ciao,
we'll
ciao.
talk to you later, I'm sure. Okay. So I've got some texts that I have to take care of here. So, John, the Toby 3000 fan, I have thoughts about Within 200 Feet Searcher. I think it's a fictional made up by Fenn and holds no truth. The comment about the 500-foot people is true and are actually workers commonly found in that area. So, a nice, interesting little theory on the 200-foot, 500-foot comment. And that's a missed call. Let's see if I got any more texts that have come in since. Did I get Aaron's question answered? Oh, Aaron, I think eventually as we evolve away from New Mexico and start looking for other areas to search, we are going to have to go north. Eventually, we've already been to Wyoming, and we are making plans to go north. We thought it might be the end of this year, and we're trying to put it together, but at worst, it'll be spring of next year. Just to, I'm not even going to call it a recon. I'm going to call it a scouting trip. So I imagine we'll have to do that eventually. So I think... So David Dow says, I met Davio 22 for coffee one morning. His research blows your mind. His calls blow my mind, David. I've got a call coming in. You've reached the Gypsy Kiss hotline. This is Toby. Who are you and from whence do you come?
Toby, this is Joel Lewicki. I'm coming from northern Minnesota.
Joel, my favorite attorney that I hope I never need. But how are you doing, sir?
I hope you don't need me to.
Yeah.
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Doing well. I saw that you guys were doing a live call-in, and I thought, you know what? We've got to make sure that phone number works.
Yeah, it definitely
does.
works. Now, the only challenge right now is normally I can see your number. So if it's a number that of somebody that I don't particularly like, I can block them. But I'm just getting the 1-800 number, not seeing it until afterwards. So how are things how's the weather in Minnesota?
It's actually abnormally warm. It's in the 70s.
Oh, gosh. So I remember you had been on a recon, I guess it's been about a month and a half now?
Yeah, it was a while ago. My father and then my oldest son and I went out together. We had a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Put up some pictures of it, and we didn't obviously find anything, but we had a really good time.
So you've watched the search evolve over the last month and a half, both from the community perspective and the personal perspective. Any new thoughts? What kind of new thoughts are you having now that you've had a little time to think about your last effort?
People that have been out boots on the ground, as soon as you get in your car and start leaving your search area, your brain is allowed to kind of go into neutral, and you've been so focused on the search while you're there, and then it goes into neutral, and you start thinking, well, what did I miss, right? And it's almost like when you get in the zone, people talk about when your brain goes into a different place, and that happens most of the time after I've been out boots on the ground. It didn't happen this time. Other times when I've been out, and then I'm thinking, okay, well, what did I miss? What was I? Where did I go wrong? And I was thinking about it, and this time I didn't have one of those. So that was a little different for me, and I began thinking, well, maybe I need to expand my search a lot farther than I thought, or start looking at things differently. And as you know, I've been pretty focused on the Yellowstone area. I've been a Yellowstone apologist, and so I began rethinking that a little bit, and thinking, well, maybe there are some. Maybe I've been too much of a confirmation bias purist, self-proclaimed, but anything that matched with what I wanted, I would go along with. But my big thing right now is grab every banana, man. I'm going to try to get out there one more time before the snow flies, which in some areas is already too late, but I think it'll melt off and give me an opportunity to search one more time.
So generally speaking, after a couple of continuous and I won't call them failed, but contiguous recons where you didn't return with a treasure, there's a tendency to lose some enthusiasm over the search. How much have you lost? It doesn't sound like much, if any.
Well, so my thing is, I don't know. Well, I don't have a personal conviction that the poem is going to lead you step by step, confirmed to the treasure. Just because that's not how Fenn's experience was in life. I think that he intends for people who have even figured out the poem to still have to search. So the area for which I've figured out the poem, I feel, leads me to a place that I've got to search. And so even though they may be failed attempts, they're still not ultimate failures because I wasn't going to a pinpointed place on a map, per se. It was more searching an area looking for particular things. And it just didn't result in the treasure chest yet. So, and I think that's why, he talks about people going with confidence and why it will be on the, 15th, 20th trip or whatever, however many times people go out. He seems pretty certain that it's not going to be someone that goes out first time and finds it.
You know what? I agree with you on that. I don't think the person that's going out with confidence will be the person that's going on there in first boots on the ground. I think it takes doing what you're doing, what Rick McDonald is doing, what Cynthia is doing. Continue to go out as you develop each of your
don't put me in the groups with those people. I've been out like a couple of times.
Okay, but, well, yeah. But it sounds like your thinking is very similar.
Mike Howling hear you say that. He's put boots in the Blue Corn and Collected Works. That's it. So, well, I shouldn't say that. He's also been in Forrest House.
Yeah, he has been at Forrest House. His recons have consisted of Forrest House, a couple of nights getting loaded at the Blue Corn, and trying to find his way back to Las Vegas on I-40. So he's going
to give me grief for throwing him under the bus.
And he probably, and you deserve it. But you're an attorney, so you can handle any situation that comes up. So I'm with you on that. I think the person that's going out with confidence is not the person that has gone out their first boots on the ground. I think you have to go out and experience boots on the ground more than once before you can keep going back with confidence that maybe this time you'll recognize the next clue in the series of 9. So that's kind of where we're at. We did a show a month and a half ago where I said we're ignoring the poem after the second clue, but what we meant really is we are comfortable that we have the first 2 clues, and we're just kind of going to look for the others, and we don't have a better approach yet. So until we're proven different.
Exactly. And I like that it challenges my mind to think about things differently and to really expand my way I think about things. For instance, just looking at it from different angles. There's a quote from one of the school children that wrote to him when he was corresponding with the class. And one of them said...
That was a scrapbook, right? Was that a scrapbook?
It was on Dale's site, but I don't know if it was a scrapbook.
All right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
It was a... No, it's fine. It's a someone who's watching this for sure will know much better than I will what the situation was. But there was a grade school age class of kids that were writing him questions, and one of them was, "We think it's in New Mexico. Are we on the right track?" And he responded, something along that line. I'm butchering the actual quote, but it was something along that line. And he responded with, "You go back to the first clue. You need to go back to the first clue." And I've always taken that to mean, okay, so he's directing them not to New Mexico, but to focus on the first clue, because maybe the first clue isn't in New Mexico. And today I started thinking about that and thinking, well, you know what? It doesn't necessarily mean that. He can respond that way and have them think about the first clue in New Mexico with what he said. He's very crafty,
very cagey, isn't he?
But it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. We really enjoy it. We enjoy the effort of being out in the field, and we enjoy bringing back the pictures of our respective failures. But I really have embraced Shelley's strategy of let's go have a vacation and let's look for the treasure on a day. And that way, if we don't find the treasure, we still had a great vacation, you know. So starting to embrace that.
I mean, we don't all have the ability to get out there as often as Rick McDonald or other people that are out there quite a bit doing that. But it doesn't cost a whole lot to think, and I like to think about it. And so thanks to you and Shelley for helping us think about this and to expand our horizons.
Well, we try. We know.
So keep it up. Good job.
We're going to keep trying. I do have to tell you, though, as I had breakfast with Pam and Bob this morning, they mentioned that they had returned. They were on their way back home after a trip to the Chama area. They actually stayed in the same lodge that I stayed in back when I made my first recon, but they bumped into another searcher there that was staying literally in the room next door. They realized he had been at the Collected Works bookstore, but had been towards the back, had been very reticent about, showing up at the event. Anyway, they started talking, and he told them that he has put, he lives on the East Coast, and I can't remember exactly where, and I'm sorry I can't remember his name now, but he told them that he has put 300,000 miles on his pickup truck going back and forth between the East Coast and the Rocky Mountains looking for this treasure. And I had never, when they mentioned his name, and now that I can't remember it, I had never even heard of him. So he's not on the forums, he's not on the YouTubes, but he's put 300,000 miles on a pickup truck coming out here to look for that treasure. So
good for him.
So you and your two
experience.
Yeah, don't. Well, I'm never going to. If I get to the point where I'm putting 300,000 miles on my truck looking for this treasure, I'm going to go find something else to do. Make YouTube videos about.
Like buy stock in an oil company.
Yeah, either that or move over to the softer side and help Shelley build out her channel and just let this go away. So that's way too many miles for me. All right, sir. It's been fun.
That's impressive.
I'm glad that you called. I love hearing from you. We love hearing from you.
Have a good night.
I'm sure the community loves hearing from you as well. So
yeah.
Feel free to call anytime we're doing this.
I sure love the community.
Yeah, us too. Who knows, this Friday night thing where we just get to talk with folks might be a regular thing that we'll do, so we'll see.
Well, I'll look for it then. Have a good night.
You too. Best to your family.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Good night, sir. Joel Lewicki, searcher from Minnesota. He has his own YouTube channel. Of course, he's been on our panel, and he's been on several other people's panels. He's an attorney by trade and a smart guy by nature. So love talking to him. He's always got great ideas. So phone lines are open. Give me a call. We are at 7:59. I think what I'll do, we'll take one more call, and then we'll call it a night for this one. I think we've had... So we got a text message from AK in San Jose. He says, AGK, have you tried telling Forrest that you switched search areas to Yellowstone just to see if you get a response? I haven't, because Forrest doesn't listen to anything I say anyway. He completely ignores me. So I think Forrest is past caring, whether or not I have anything to say about the search. Okay, last call for the night. Let's take this one. This is Toby Eunice on AGK. You are on the hotline. What's your name and where are you from?
Hi, Toby. It's Steve from Houston.
Hey, Steve. How are you doing, sir?
Great, thanks. My question.
Yeah.
How do you think the treasure is hidden? Is it buried? Is it hidden? What part of the poem makes you think? Either one.
Either buried or hidden. So my opinion is that it's hidden rather than buried. And there are a couple of places in the poem where he refers to the trove and the title. And to me, that is an implication that being a trove has a very specific definition, and granting title to that trove has a very specific definition. Once he buries it, there's a whole different set of laws that apply to subsurface treasures that rather than above the surface treasures. And so I love our friend Michael Hoole, who uses the term cunningly hidden, and I think that's an absolute perfect way to describe what Fenn did with this. That when you do eventually come across that treasure, whether by intent or you stumble in it, I believe your reaction is going to be, no wonder no one has seen this treasure, because it will have been just as good as buried, because it was that very cunningly hidden. But I think the mention of the trove and the mention of the granting of title very specifically refers to something that is not buried, my opinion. What do you think?
I think I'm along those same lines. I think hidden means hidden.
Yeah.
I don't think it means buried. I think it means it's covered up with something, but I don't think it's earth. I think it's in a hole. I think
Forrest
it's covered with rocks, something like that.
Yeah, I think we have a tendency to agree, and he so often corrects people, and he does it in the Fenn way, where he says, "I didn't say it was buried. I said it was hidden, but that doesn't mean it's buried." So there's this convoluted approach he's taken to that, but it strikes me he's said it so often, he's actually trying to establish the precedence of it's not buried, it's hidden. And I think he does that because being buried creates a whole new set of legal issues that the finder is going to have to deal with. And I think that's what he wants to avoid. My opinion is that Fenn wants the finder to have the easiest possible path to ownership that he could make for the finder. And burying something, especially say, and don't start yelling at me, these are just my opinions, not you, Steve, but the chat room. Burying something in Yellowstone National Park creates a whole new layer of legal issues that would have to be resolved one way or the other, and that to me is not a straight path to ownership. Straight path to ownership is, I found a hidden treasure on Forest Service land. So, my opinion.
All right, now what do you think about Look Quickly Down, but Terry Scant with Marble Gaze? Do you think that's the end of it, or do you think there's more to it?
I think our and again, I'm going to express my opinion on the matter, our ninth clue is look quickly down your quest to cease. We think Terry Scant is advisory, meaning don't stick around, pick up your treasure, put it in your backpack or your friend's backpack, and make them carry it out of there, but get out of there as quickly as you can. And there's a variety of reasons to do that, other than now you have, at a minimum, $1 million worth of 42 pounds worth of $1 million worth of potential treasure that 350,000 people are looking for. So I think the recommendation with Terry Scant with Marble Gaze, meaning don't stick around and stare at it, take action, do something. Oscar Mike, on the move, brother. Get out of there as soon as you can. And I think his last bit of advice recently, the most recent bit of advice, was hold on to your, hold your fire for 30 days. I think that's damn good advice. And then you can make decisions about how you want to proceed through that. I think it is in every finder's or every searcher's best interest to sit down and think about what they plan to do if they find the treasure, rather than just accidentally stumbling on it and tripping over themselves as they try to do whatever it is they need to do. Because I think you could make some serious mistakes as the finder of that treasure, that if you give yourself some time. Now, at the same time, I'm not suggesting that you keep it a secret. I think the moment you recover the treasure, inform Fenn so he can inform the world and save all those 349,999 other people that are looking at the treasure the trouble, and then sit on it for 30 days. But that's my approach, mine and Shelley's approach. The only thing I could recommend now is that every searcher who's serious about this search sit down and can make a list of the things that you think you want to do and that you should do in order to protect yourself if you were the person that finds the treasure. Because you're one of 350,000 people. That's Fenn's estimate. I'll just throw it out there. You're one of 350,000 people that are looking for that treasure, and they're going to be envious of your find. So, how's that? for expressing. Thank you for allowing
Yeah,
me.
I like it.
Thank
Sounds
you
good.
for allowing
Yeah.
me to express my opinion in the matter.
Thanks for the insight. Have a good weekend.
Thanks very much. You too. Thanks for calling. Okay, so let's see. All right. So I know there's probably questions in the room, but kind of my intent tonight was not to get to the room. I'm hoping Shelley gets some of those. I'm going to go back and make sure we don't have any more texts. Got everybody's text in there. Yeah, AK. Yeah, the likelihood that Fenn is interested in anything I'm doing is slim to none. So we have a very odd relationship. When he needs something, he asks, I do it. But other than that, we got nothing, brother. Okay, so let me see what I've got here. All right, everybody. I think that's enough for the night. So either in the chat room or the comments below, tell me whether I was going to show you our blog. Actually, okay, I'm going to turn the phone off. So I'm not turn it off, but I'm going to turn the call system off, and I'm going to show you the new things on the blog. So the do not disturb. If you do call now, it'll go to voicemail, and so I will play that at some other time. But I do want to show some of the things that we're doing on the blog. Okay, so let me go back there. I've tried to do this already, but let me go back there and talk about it for just a few minutes before we end this program. So this is gypsyskiss.com. I have been developing this blog since 2013. It has all kinds of content on it. Across the top is the main navigation bar, the home page, Fenn's poem, where, as I mentioned earlier, there's a copy of the page out of my personal copy of The Thrill of the Chase, where I made the notes for my first miserably failed recon along the Chama River, but it's kind of fun to see it. And then what we think, the poem is in there, and the 9 sentences that make up the poem that is in there. Then we have what we think of, and again, since it's our blog, these are our opinions. They don't have to be anybody else's opinions. These are the Fenn interviews that we think are the most important in order to understand Fenn, starting with the one that Davio released, and it goes to the version that Davio released from Fenn at the Cody Museum in 2006, then the Laureen Mills interview in 2011, then my Collected Works bookstore signing in 2013, and of course the now infamous Moby Dickens in 2014. We think those should have been memorized if you haven't already. Fenn Searchers are the Fenn Searchers that we've done interviews with in order, in alphabetic order by last name. So they're all there if you want to find them, including the interviews that I did early on in the chase. Now they're only audio interviews, but they are there. Our photos are all the photo albums that we have produced since 2000, since the first recon. If you go way, way down here, that's me hugging. That's Ali McGraw hugging me. But you'll see the first Rio Chama recon in there. And then our videos, and because of the way that WordPress works, we only have I think it's the last 40 of our videos on there. So if you just wanted to go through our videos, why isn't it going through real quick? Hang on. Let me go to our videos. It's a bigger page, so it's trying to post them. So give it a second to get there. Little glitch in the link there. Oh, there they are. Okay, so those are the last. I think it's like 40 videos that we've done. So they're on there. If you want to catch up, that's a good place to do it. And then there's a short about us thing with my infamous picture of Forrest Fenn when we were actually friends. Actually, I shouldn't say that. We're not friends. I mean, we are friends. We just don't exchange emails. And then down the side, I'm going to go back to the home page. On the home page is a sticky post, and basically it's designed for new searchers, and it's a set of 10 things that we recommend if you're new to the search, because it'll save them. You know how it is when the new searchers come into the forums and they ask all these questions that you've heard the answers to or written the answers to for the past 8 years. So these are the 10 steps to what you need to do if you're a new searcher to get caught up. So if you have some news searcher bugging you about those things, just send them to our homepage at gypsyskiss.com, and there's the 10 things that we have to do. But down the right-hand side, the navigation on the right-hand side is the more fun stuff. The first thing is, of course, the search, and it tracks, as you can see, the searches for the last 5 or 6 days here. And people, somebody's looking for Shelley, and drones. So it'll search the entire blog post. I think we have over 300 posts since 2013. This is my favorite one. It's blog post categories. Did I actually switch this over to, so you can see? Yeah, I just want to make sure. So these are the blog post categories, and I've divided all the blog posts into these categories. So if you want to see, so for example, our book clubs, click on live stream book clubs, and it just lists all the book clubs. So it separates them all by category, and it's a drop-down menu, and it's very convenient. Below that is the other Gypsy Kiss properties, including AGK on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and of course our donate to PayPal if you decide to do that. And then if you'd like to subscribe and follow us via email, there's a subscription. Enter your email address, and what will happen is anytime we make a new post, whether it's a video or just a blog post, it'll send you an email letting you know that we've done that. So we have, at the moment, we have 929 other subscribers on the blog. These are the number of visitors for the past 28 days, and then a list of the last 30 blog posts. So in just order of calendar order. And here's a notation, Gypsy Kiss on Instagram, a Gypsy Kiss on Facebook. So if you click it, you can get to our Facebook page. And then these are the archives down at the bottom, are all the archives dating back, as you can see, to November 2013, when I first started the blog, up to today, September 2018. So there is a bunch of stuff, my thoughts, my evolving thoughts on where warm waters halt and things like that is all in there. And so you can go there to find it all. And although we do post all our videos, I make regular written blog posts, and kind of my most intimate thinking on it, maybe it's not my intimate, but my most secretive thinking on the search is always on one of those blog posts. It may later end up in a show. Is actually the show that we're doing on Tuesday, where I talk, the title of the show is How to Find Forrest Fenn's Treasure in 1,000 Years. It was actually the result of a blog post I was working on, and I realized, no, this is really our next program. So I hope you have fun with that on Tuesday. Okay, so I think that's it for tonight. I've had a great time. Thank you all for calling in, and thank you all for sticking with me and the callers as you did. I'm sorry we didn't get to the questions in the chat room, but this event kind of is to give people to call in and have a conversation, and I want to make sure we do that. Shelley and I will talk about it. I mean, if you think it's a good idea to do this kind of show on Friday nights, I'm gonna have to go play poker at a later time than I normally do, but that's okay, because I think, as you can tell, I'm having a great time. But if you think this is a good idea to do this kind of show, let us know in the comments box below, and we'll consider working it into. We're adding new products to our Gypsy Kiss brand anyway. This was something just I wanted to play with it and see what happened. But if you think it's worthwhile doing this every Friday night, let me know, and we'll do it. Okay? Okay, so good night to all of you. Thank you in the chat room. Thank you to our moderators that came in and helped us with moderation in the chat room. And I do want you to know, Brian, Man in the Barn, asked the question about if you've been blocked from my channel, write me, and just let me know that you're going to maintain our standards in the chat room. That's all we ask. I will mention that I've never actually had one of those. For all the people that I have blocked, I've never had anybody say, hey, and you don't need to say I'm sorry. Just let me know you're not going to do it again, and I'll let you back in. So because we do try to maintain a high standard of decorum in our room. So there are other channels. God bless them. I'm not being critical of them. There are other channels. If you just want to do anything you want, you're welcome to join those channels. We're just a little bit more restrictive. Not restrictive. We're just a little bit better about making everybody be comfortable, feel comfortable. Okay? That's what we're doing. I I think that's it for tonight. I love you all. We'll see you next week. Of course, we'll release our new lineup on Monday. And so we have a full week planned for you next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And it's all about you interview with a person that you'll recognize and be familiar with. So until then, thanks for joining me tonight. It's been fun. Thank you for the call-ins. Thank you for the active chat room. We look forward to seeing you next week. This is Toby Younis for Gypsy Kiss.